All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We are just about to start this panel now. So if you can all take your seats, that would be fantastic. Thank you. My name is Joseph Holm. Just a quick background on myself before I pass it on to my panelists to introduce themselves. I'm the organizer of this event, and I'm very happy to welcome you all. I hope you've had a really great time so far. My background is actually in crowdfunding marketing. 4 years ago, I launched a marketing SaaS called Crowdster that allows people Indiegogo by themselves without having to hire a marketing agency. And since last year, focused on crypto. And I'm very happy to be here today with a killer. Here, Jason, maybe everybody can introduce themselves, tell what they're working on, and then let's kick it off.
Excellent, excellent. How's everyone doing today? Very nice, very nice. I'm Jason. I'm a marketer, about 10 years. Love it. Have done it across all different verticals and sat on all sides of the table, from in-house marketing teams, mobile ad networks, selling to agencies. We've built digital niche agency DNA, to be the agency we wanted to work with, and focusing on startup to mid-stage brands. Fundraising is a common. So we've worked on a whole catalog of campaigns across crowdfunding, and since August, ICOs. And strategic outreach. I'll be able to talk about direct experiences, and excited to be here in a room full of crypto leaders.
Awesome. I'm Kelly Weaver. We are a blockchain and crypto focused PR and communications agency. Oh, can you hear me? Should I use this? I'll steal his mic. Communications agency. We work. Obviously, traditional PR is our strategy, so content marketing, events, thought leadership. Recently added a community management team and division as well. So also enterprise blockchain application. Be here.
Cool.
Oh, you need us. Sorry.
Hello, I'm Simon Bogdanovich. I'm the co-founder of Block Team Venture Advisory and Investment Firm, focusing not only on pre-ICO, going through the ICO to post-ICO marketing as well. Before a marketing agency, worked with clients across 6 different countries. In terms of what we do from an agency perspective, we focus a lot on community management, advisory board build out, so no tactical expertise beyond just the press and marketing itself. And
Susan.
I'm an entrepreneur / investor. I'm a partner in Can Do Venture. My background is coming from journalism, publishing, PR and marketing. So I'm a board member of Internet Marketing Association Executive Council, contributor writer. I'm in the board of TrustRoot and Reputation Management Protocol for blockchain. I'm also in the board of a few other companies. Last but not least, I'm the CEO and founder of Mavatar now. And we're trying to do everything right. Reg D, US, no nonprofit organization around our ICO. Our technology is been built for the last 7 years. I was researching in Stanford Business on new advertising models' effect on user privacy and why we're shadowing people, and I couldn't find any correlation between users benefit and consumers benefit, except which is a vehicle for user-generated advertising. But the problem with advertising is the traditional affiliate networks and ad networks. We see that there's a lot of deficiencies and middlemen that they couldn't really solve, and actually they were part of the nation publishers most of the time. So user-generated advertising, the previous models of the networks, traditional accounting was not even possible. Basically, if you want to pay, if you're a retailer, and then at the end of the day, you want to pay $25 a month and write a check, that check can cost you $15 to $20. This is the last actually puzzle that we solved from our technology, and we brought end of May because we're done with our integration and everything. And that I see some real ICO marketing people that I can touch, and compared to what you get always, people that you can only or WhatsApp, you don't know what their real name is. So it's great. It's relieving to see you guys here. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
My name is Galen Moore. I'm the Director of Market Research at New Alchemy. New Alchemy is an end-to-end ICO advisory firm based in Seattle. We started out as an audit firm doing security audits on smart contracts, a business that we still partner with other ICO advisory firms to execute. We do, as I mentioned, end-to-end. That means from token mechanics through smart contract development, marketing, and we're based in Seattle, and we have a minority share in.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to do around half an hour of just chatting here that cover very interesting topics. And then towards the end, we're going to open it up to the audience for some Q&A. So we're going to have about 10 minutes for that. So before we get started, ICO marketing, obviously a very important issue. We have over 60 ICOs here at the conference pitching on stage 2. So that's obviously one of the ways to reach and connect with investors. But what else is going on in 2018, compared to 2017? It seems like it's a completely different ball game. And I would like to just throw the question out there, and you can all jump at it. What does your marketing plan for 2018 for an ICO really need to look like to be able to raise money, and what doesn't work anymore?
Yeah, let me hop in here. So the markets look different in 2018, 17. Therefore, we encourage issuers, we encourage companies to establish more trust. Obviously, everyone's heard the story. It becomes a big part of your white paper, a big part of your story. We're looking at, we've seen a lot of postponed launch dates for ICOs here. But again, communicating that value, and I know there's a lot of good PR about that, and then distributing that content and having more touch points is required in 2018. 2017, there were type operations with ICOs. Now, really into consideration, intent, and further down the funnel into conversion is we're seeing more marketing channels brought to the table as well. We'll talk more about advertising and some of the limitations and things we've done in 2018. But what I'd like to emphasize is more marketing channels that were at the table and fully utilized in ICO marketing.
I think more so than ever, hopefully leading up to the fact that you really need to have a great product, and that product needs to be somewhat developed. Those days are numbered of marketing being sort of the magic wand and not having any sort of product or merit to back that. I think as service providers, we're even having to do some extreme due diligence on the teams that are finding their way to us to be able to make sure that this is something that we can market. As it relates to PR and earned media, the media is smart, and is aware that and is skeptical. And so you really have to have a compelling story to be able to get your message to the right audience, especially as it relates to traditional earned media. And so we like to make sure that there's a real product or a working prototype, that there's partnership announcements. We're really looking for the meat of what that story is, and then creating a marketing plan around that. Content is really important, with the way that the internet is today. You actually tell your own story and do a great job of that on your own without even channels available to teams to do that. So I think really, truly brilliant and potentially, world-changing. And it's hopefully that's going to rise to the top. And we see that the things now with us are really serious about doing things right. And we're working in teams with ICO advisory shops to make sure that everything that we're putting out, and because obviously we're not experts in that, but we let them come up with creative story angles. Thought leadership is a big piece.
I think since the beginning of the ICO market, right? Having a product means you can't paint a picture in the sky of what you're going to do. And when you actually have something people can use, it ends up being, inevitably less impressive than the hockey stick curve on the slide deck. I think you're going to see, even now, maybe of how many utility tokens were actually able to be used on the network. And the answer is less than 1 in 10. And I think my guess is down since that time. But what you're going to see, but some of them will come online, and the utility of the token will be impressive than the story that was told in the ICO fundraise. Or sketching something out before the product goes out Now, the nice thing about the market is now that everybody's woken up to the fact that most tokens are probably securities way, so you can sell something before there's a product. There's no more stitched together MVP into the market so that you can claim utility. More and more issuers are taking a much more measured approach and are thinking, how can I have investors into my token, whether it's through a SAFT or through a hybrid token? We're thinking, how can I get investors into what is undoubtedly a security today, future?
Yeah, I was going to chime in. I think with everybody here is that there's been a big flight to quality so it's ever more important to understand who you're working with from a legal, compliance, technology, auditor perspective, and marketing, much like sales, and especially been very dirty from the 2017 marketplace. Unfortunately, great, high quality, above bar marketers we have to really work hand in hand with the team, understand the compliance of whatever jurisdiction not only the company's based in, but also how we like to outline the ICO marketing plan for 2018. Really been and do a deep dive strategy session with the teams. What are the potential compliance parameters around this? Not do. How are you guys looking at airdrops, at bounties, at utilizing different strategically partnering ourselves with other agencies that plug in the gaps where we have a great solid foundation, and we're great at marketing, we're great at press, TV, radio, digital media. We have over 200 of the major TechCrunch, CNBC, and everything else. But there's other areas where we don't have a solid foundation as a core team, like media buying and others on this panel to really plug in the gaps. So coming in, flight to quality, I think people need to look at just a pre-ICO marketing, but what are you doing post-ICO? Playing with your token being looked at as a utility or security, and a more active role, even beyond marketing, to understand the way that you'll be able to market.
We see the 2018 marketing landscape. Well, we all see that 6 months ago when you started working with some of these, notorious ICO marketing that probably they were not even existing around you, and you couldn't even physical person. They were charging like homepage and all of that, and because there's an abundance of money at all those lucky ICOs. Last key, we would see if they need to exactly enough time they may have to answer. But there were a lot of money, and these young entrepreneurs with the dollars and hundreds million of dollars in their bank account, so they were concerned about paying a premium for anyone to spread the word. But what happens after one, we have more benchmarks for good ICOs versus bad ICOs or whatever. Now you see that they're settling down. Even marketing, I'm sharing my experience because I think I'm the only one in the panel now, and we've been dealing with all of these offers. My team was to spend at least, and our investors also, pushing us, and I personally was against it because our technology is about advertising dollars to sales dollars. And for me, going and religion that I spent 7 years of my life building a platform that does is like completely unacceptable. So I didn't fall into that trap. Our investors now are happy that we didn't spend whatever we raised. Our private sale, we raised $2 million. They were okay for us to spend, all of these guys to put a banner ad in their homepage based on the model that I'm against that. So we didn't do that. Focus on content, on the story. Because I know content sells. You can't sell content anymore. All the stuff failed, right? Especially after the internet era. And the story is important for your audience, for whoever wants to be involved in your ICO. And guess what? The story is your team, is the vision of the company, the bottleneck or the problem that you're set or your team is set to solve. These are better than anything else. What we did was focusing on our completely clarify the vision and mission, and the one could see our smart contract. And then we started promoting and that content sold. We have us to continue with that crazy 48 hours of fame or whatever. we realized that we have to go through verification. We built the software to doing all of this, and I'm glad that we did Reg D. I'm glad that we stay in the United States because, if a company does spend millions of dollars on marketing, but register their ICO in an island, right?
Yeah, that's always fun. They take their ICO to Switzerland, and they're like, oh, the Swiss laws are so... They still live in the United States.
Right.
So they still have to follow US laws.
My daughter is 13 years old. What I'm saying as a mother, I'm always saying that if you decide to hide something from me, you should do that. You're doing something wrong. That's a signal to you, right? And that's a signal to all the audience, your investors, whoever wants to be involved in that ICO, your lawyers, your PR company, your marketing company, your vendors. So if you're not hiding anything, you shouldn't be afraid of SEC. Hopefully they're coming up with some regulations. We want regulation, SEC people, please send or late, because this is the real story of finding a way to fund itself, right? I mean, I'm an investor as well, and we investors are always investing on conventional things, conventional entrepreneurs, conventional ideas, conventional products, something that we really have a great model based on our previous investments. And if it's something disruptive, or that person is disruptive or not, or an original, we don't invest, right? But ICOs, for the first time, given an opportunity to technologies and original entrepreneurs to raise funds 2-3 years ago, when the developers were these ICO investors, investors like myself. I invested in Telegram, I invested in many things. Community behind the product, right, to give us advice, to poke into our GitHub and tell us what we're doing wrong, and we want them to upside, right? So let's figure out the regulations, help us and investors and these developers to sort out bad apple itself. You don't need any homepage banner ad in any of these websites. Check their Alexa ranking first. Check to see that CPM, CTR, CPC model are not all generated by bots, right? Sell your story and product.
I would actually like to know from you guys, talking about good ICOs, we've all been approached by these ICOs who want to pay us in tokens to run their marketing, and how do you guys figure out who to work with and who to better not work with, who not to get involved with, and how do you guys look at taking the ICO overseas to try and circumvent the SEC? How does it work for you guys day to day?
Have an evaluation process. We look for indicators, audience proven performance. We evaluate into their actual technical paper, their team, get some initial responses, in most cases, what to actually work with them on. We work with a lot of great partners, complementing offers and vice versa to ours, so look to see what Dude has gone through there. Those are big things for us as well, too, where we're doing an industry overview and competitor audit, closest lookalikes, see the type of influencers, on their actual listings, on their ratings. We can look what they did to obtain digital market share, let alone on their raise. We have first-party data. We can look at what similarity we can pull, what type of advantages we already have for that part of it, what type of lookalike models we've made of that audience. Huge component of third-party data we've tested and seen performance from. Strategic partnership lists, whether that's co-branding opportunities, groups, direct investors that we've seen participate in similar offerings, and their timeline, of course, budget levels specifically, so we can impact they're going to be able to make in that timeline. And from there. But at the end of the day, and as brought up, it all goes back to the built around the product, which is built around the offering, which is built around what needs. And from there, if that's something we're going to align ourselves with, as an agency, what we've worked on. So the ones that are our home runs, partners, makes us a bigger part of the community. So that's what we really seek out.
Yeah. So from a PR perspective, and that goes back to what Gail, do you agree that it's better sometimes maybe not to have because everything we're talking about here right now, that's I feel like we're coming full circle, and next year we'll talk about the exact same things that we've been discussing in crowdfunding marketing for many years. And there it makes a huge difference if you have a prototype or something that you can show people that it's not some high in the sky kind of idea that we may or may not realize in 10 years, but this is something that can work. How important is that to you, and how important is that to actually getting media hits? And then also I would like to know, Do you guys work on utility tokens at all still, or is it all like US-based clients? Are they all security tokens?
So I don't disagree that, not having a product definitely helps, especially from, certain evaluation metrics and things. My point was more to generating earned media and having of having something, whether it's code or our due diligence framework is incredibly similar to yours. We're looking for attention, because that can be challenging. I think one of the things we looked at question was
utility versus security tokens.
So depends, but things are looking much more like securities. Our direction now, most international teams, but I think things are going in the direction of security utilities that are offshore. That can be a challenge for market. The same, and as it relates to utility versus security and the marketing strategy, we really do, regardless of how we're not marketing the token, right? It's about the story of the team and when you ask about the structure of the token, we're really leaning on the ICO advisors to sort of take a lead on that aspect. But as it relates to the marketing of what you're actually going to be doing versus.
Right. Simon, so that pros that Facebook and Twitter and Google, they're all kind of either or most advertising for ICOs. We were lucky for the summit, for example, to get whitelisted, and we can still run ads with #crypto and #blockchain in it, but most people cannot. What do you guys do for traffic sources? What alternatives are there that work and that have shown success?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the big thing is all kind of dug up in the initial due diligence of a project and the initial strategy of the project. Like what is the platform or service or product? Who is it for? What do you have already? Is it a company that has a pre-existing traditional business model, or is it like a brand new company? So tapping the current base have and seeing where they are and going that route is a big thing. Social media in the right way outside of Facebook and Google, such as Telegram is like the communication channel of choice for anybody markets. And then looking, really digging in or having around like Bitcoin talk still, for some projects is opening things up. So it's a tricky question because it's really dependent, even based on like geography where the project, you have to dig into the strategy of it, and there's compliant airdrops and compliant bounties, and we're working with a couple of great projects that have had really successful airdrop, Hybrid Block, which is focus on the Asian market like Singapore and Hong Kong, but we figure out a way that to find out for us and whatnot, and they have huge email lists. So that's a great way to boost your numbers there as well.
Yeah, totally.
As well as a lot in the event space. Just attending these kind of shows and running the right kind of marketing show. Right, everyone knows here a lot of the magic happens in the hallways, in events, in the morning breakfast, things like that. So just telling the story, and then you'll be surprised to find out there's a lot of brands do the heavy lifting for you and really spread the message. So I think brand ambassadors to spread the message can do a world of good for you.
You guys handle traffic. You said you're not a big fan of C and programmatic advertising, I guess.
No.
But how do you build a community at scale without buying traffic?
Yeah. First of all, any token that is released in the United States for now is a security token.
Yes.
So even if we want to call our tokens utility and we can show the utility of the token, we have to appliances that SEC hasn't defined yet, and they may do in the next. So in terms of marketing and advertisement, you see all of these big kind of banning the advertising, not only for protecting themselves, but also as well as, I guess, entrepreneurs as well, because we don't, and we go crazy if we have money, right? And now these guys don't, and we have to find another way. Well, we've been lucky product. We have done work data. We got 70,000 organic users and 600 influence course of 6 months, but we had a problem. Retailers that were promoting their products through the platforms that as a service that were sending out, but the money, the networks practically were stealing the last click and the favorite nations publishers. So that's why we can real bottleneck from our system to enable advertisers and retailers to directly work with influencers. So product is there, which is a great thing as an investor. If I put my hat on any ICO that is not backed platform that has been already built, because even for software, you want the software to at least a working prototype or that has mitigated the risk already, right? Because you never know, the best out and no one uses it, or it doesn't have a good, you really need to, even for software, simple software, you have to have a product that has been working. So I don't have utility. It doesn't removing a bottleneck or middleman from the way of that software already built. Definitely want to see the utility of the token. If that token is their CEO, I'm not interested, because then I get a higher valuation as an entrepreneur. I see that how investors are perceiving that. And so form a team, hard cap, very low hard. I have a software that probably is gonna at like 500 customers. You know, why you need $200 million spending is a kiss to innovation. It's the kiss of death to innovation. But team is important, and so these are all the indications of a good ICO or token.
Very good.
Asking about Twitter, and I want to actually talk about utility a bit, but we're asking about Twitter and Facebook and Google. And you know, they're like politicians, you know. When a new innovation or new technology comes along, the politicians all rush to propose to solve some danger that the new technology represents. Local politicians were proposing ordinances related to the silence of their street because they wouldn't hear the car coming. Things like this are happening in state legislatures all over the country as we speak. And Bitcoin threaten the status quo. So you have players who are willing to fears in order to get votes. And in a way, that's what Google, Facebook, ineffective rules about what you can post, selling your personal data off the back of the truck. I don't think what they're doing is going to have any impact. I think most of the ads that people have been buying on those networks are marginal projects or were using those networks. I actually do think, I'm no lover, but I do think that display ads on dedicated crypto forums have proven to be effective, certainly for our client. But at the same time, more and more projects, you know, by getting out there with influencer marketing on YouTube, for example, and the paid content can be a little bit of a goat rodeo. But, you know, if you can do it well and do it right, you have a good, you know, a good name. So more and more savvy projects are using those methods, along with the being present at a place like this is what contributes to having name recognition. It also comes down to what I refer to as the two turntables and the microphone, white paper and the forum. You have to have a good white paper that tells white papers could probably just be a Medium post, and that would be fine. Pages, Telegram. In order to an active forum where the founding team is active and engaging with the users after, right? That's what this is supposed to be about. And so when it comes to utility, I think structure are we under, but is this a token that's going to engage its users out of the network into the token? Is this a token that can capture value? Idea stage. We're working at New Alchemy with the Francis Ford project that is very much in the idea stage. And you know, because it's so early, because they don't have a product to show? Absolutely not. We're going to help them develop their network as they seek to remake the film industry. So the early stage before the utility exists, and then seek to build that form of value capture that a token represents, that's really the gold standard of what we're 18.
Awesome. Yeah. So we have about 10 minutes. Maybe we should just open it up to audience questions. So has any questions for the panels? Raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. Right there.
So we're a stage, mid-stage company for a few years, but getting into crypto more. When you're looking to structure deals with securities token versus a utilities token company, what are the different tactics you use in structuring those deals, and what are you trying to avoid in those deal structures?
Who are you asking?
The panel, whoever wants to answer, whoever makes most sense.
So can you repeat the question?
Oh, so you want to know the difference between security token and utility token?
No.
As an agency, from a marketing perspective, the different ways you structure those deals and what you found to be most effective for both sides. Like what different elements are you including in those deals?
Well, I can say for New Alchemy's perspective, we're looking to take a share of the token every time we work with a company. We want that for alignment of incentives. And certainly, you know, the level of service that we're providing and the level of engagement dictates the percentage that we would look for. But in general for us, upfront fees are be compensated and incentivized is through a share of the token raise. So, I would certainly, one thing, regulations around those kinds of percentage fee arrangements, just let anybody go and raise money for you and take a percentage of what they raise. So, there may be unscrupulous operators who would be trying to look for that licensure and regulatory compliance on the security side. Assume that at least for right now, the SEC is viewing everything as a security. But you might also think of it as just being a much higher bar to set for it to be a utility and to really have utility.
Right here. There too. Sorry, you go.
Hi guys, River with Upholder. We're an agency that specializes in community building. Airdrops or bounties yet? So I want to touch on that, specifically like what you guys think about airdrops and bounties. Is there a future going forward for your clients? What kind of issues are you finding? Are they going to evolve, et cetera? Just for the panel in general.
Who wants to take this one?
I would, yeah,
We can tag team.
take a shot on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really all depends on, like, again, kind of going back to, the compliance. We're dealing with international companies, not just like US-based companies. We're lucky to work with some clients that are jurisdictioned offshore. So it's a matter of like, is the regulators and the law that are with that company in-house and external counsel, are they on the list and they're getting, a airdrop product that's stations there to make sure that everything's kosher. So I think actually have the access to the SEC or someone on their legal firm or internal law firm, kind of either a letter from the SEC or something. You'll see those be marketed and open a lot more. We're doing like looking at the differences with airdrops and bounties in terms as what's the actual intention for the airdrop? Is it just to grow? Is it something around like development matters? We wanted holders for our token and whatnot. So I think intention. We're going to see. I believe I'm a pretty firm believer that we're going to see Google the crypto bans that have taken place, and then to the point where other countries are more so kind of leading in crypto and as well. And I think airdrops will kind of go through the peaks and valleys of that.
So again, because everything for now is security token, wouldn't be kosher. Because, and we have the law firms behind our ICO. And by the way, even the law firms who have with SEC legislators, they always coming back with a bunch of don'ts, but there's not among all the advices that you're paying for. So be really prudent yourself. But the airdropping, because you are giving, basically you're giving those tokens for free. Right? Yeah, it is it's like a stock, right? You can't give free stock to someone. Cohort may add value to the token later on. So airdropping is not kosher for U.S. ICE bounty because they're doing a task and you're giving them token reason or referral links and stuff are okay.
You cannot give away security tokens because you have to do KYC. You have to be accredited investors.
You have to do. We have done for our bounty campaign. We have done KYC, AML on every single.
Oh yeah, then it's fine.
people.
Then it's kosher.
So we're doing, and we invent.
The views and opinions expressed on this panel do not represent legal advice.
Please get a professional.
Off the record. So, and the other thing is, and the previous question that you asked what are the good practices. I'm still believing in influence marketing. There are a lot of platforms, Bitcoin Talk, and all of these ICO Bench and others that you can go and submit your projects without even paying, and you have to really have merit to get ranking. We got 5 and ICO Bench 5.5 without a penny. Because we provided all the information that they needed, right? We went through the white paper, everything. So you can still use influence marketing, and there are writing their feedback on these projects. So I guess another thing, and also the traditional way of PR articles in mainstream media.
Yeah. Let's try and get another question in.
I don't have a mic. Go ahead.
We can hear you.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
We're actually starting an exchange, but it's going to be crypto trading here in the U.S. So what is your strategy for marketing for an international ICO? Just by inherently, we'll never be able to do business here. So what are your thoughts on international marketing as opposed to this all U.S. market?
My philosophy is always test, optimize, scale. for all marketing channels and touch points. All of the different tactics mentioned here on this panel, I would include in your marketing strategy. I want to touch on advertising a bit more. We found excellent influencers in different regions, that you can essentially geo-target that are powerful. But on the advertising side, the analytics can be very databases and run ads specifically to them while geo-targeting, staying within your initiatives. We actively run ads on Google. We work with our reps there to make sure we're following their compliant guide. I believe it'll be a temporary type of ban. Facebook is in the news. It's powerful. That data is available to us for targeting of that audience. When we're advertising on sites, I'm with sure direct can be dangerous. They're looking to sell flat rates. When we're at programmatic and real-time learning of our placements, day and time of week across specific demographics and behavior. We could look at audiences across over 11 million lines of data within segments and scale those ad buys, which is why I'm such a big fan of advertising. A big part of the marketing budget of top 100 brands is because to identify those, in this case, investor acquisition, and you're able to take the message that you've created here and have, again, scalable volumes of eyeballs behind it.
Yeah, I was going to just add to that, like, 'cause we're working with our agency, a multi-tiered cryptocurrency exchange that's, it's based. They are not, they're restricting nationalities in terms of even the private pre-sale or airdrop to be, has to be outside of U.S., Canada, China, and New Zealand. And so with that being said, you have to, think, basically in every advertising we do, we work with Jason and his team to do a out of the Americas. PR, we do a lot of earned media, different, publications and, TV and radio, even podcasting, crypto-based that are international, tapping into influencer marketing is big combination. But always, just like the U.S., right, we're rolling out globally on a country-to-country perspective, so you have to always be as the nation pivots. But for an exchange in particular, right, of just marketing in general and announcing anything is a strategic partnership day. The country of India has approved this exchange and as news, and then use it maybe the exclusive PR, but then use it across all your social channels and spread the news far and wide. So a lot of similarities between working on a U.S. base versus a global.
Awesome. So unfortunately, we're out of time. I would like to thank the audience and panelists. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.